Welcome to BearLakeBeef.com, everybody. Today we're going to be reviewing one of the Bear Lake Beef ribeye steaks versus a traditional grocery store steak. Well, we have the Bear Lake beef steak over here. If you'll notice, it's very large. It's got a lot of intermuscular fat all throughout, lots of it. All those white speckles is the Wagyu style intermuscular fat of the breed of cow we're using with the Bear Lake beef. What we've done over there is we've been able to crossbreed a Japanese Wagyu cattle with the American Black Angus. And what we're getting is very large cows that have that great Japanese style intermuscular fat. You also notice that the Bear Lake beef steak is a nice, deep, red, meaty color. Now if you look at the grocery store steak, you're going to see here that it's very, very bright red. The way the grocery stores get their meat to look this bright red is by gassing it with carbon monoxide gas. And what that does is it gives it almost an unnatural color, and they do that for psychological reasons. The darker the meat, the less appealing it is to the traditional consumer. Now you'll see here that it has some intermuscular fat, but basically some large chunks in it that aren't really going to help it in the cooking process. What makes the Bear Lake beef so special is the amount of that intermuscular fat. Is as the meat cooks, that fat renders, leaving pockets of juice and tenderness that allow that meat to taste well and to chew well in your mouth. Very tender, very meaty taste. We also, at Bear Lake Beef, we dry age all of our meat for up to 28 days. What the dry aging process does is it reduces the moisture content of the meat and helps to really intensify those beefy flavors that everybody loves in a good steak or a good cut of beef. It also helps to break down the texture of the meat. It takes the fibers and starts to break them down a bit. That's why on the Bear Lake beef you get these nice open pores in that meat versus a grocery store steak that's pretty solid piece of meat. What we're going to do with these two pieces of meat is we're going to grill them up, and you're going to be able to see the difference. Whereas the Bear Lake beef steak is dry aged and goes through a natural process to help tenderize it, the grocery store steaks are gassed with that carbon monoxide gas to give them an unnatural color, and also they are wet aged, meaning they are packaged from butchering into a solution of salt and various chemicals to try to help tenderize that meat. As we cook these steaks, you'll be able to see the Bear Lake beef difference in how natural and tasty this meat looks versus the store-bought steak, which is going to gray out and look kind of sad. So what we're going to do is we're going to get these seasoned up, and we're going to throw them on the grill, and we'll show you the difference. We're back at the grill. We've got the ribeyes all seasoned up and ready to go. We're going to go ahead and put them on to cook now. First, we've got the Bear Lake beef ribeye. We're going to throw that on. And we've got the store-bought ribeye, both seasoned with just a little salt and pepper. We're going to go ahead and let those grill. We're going to get them to a perfect medium rare. Then we're going to go ahead and cut them up and kind of show the difference between a store-bought steak and a Bear Lake beef steak. So we're going to let those cook. We're going to do 4 minutes on each side, and then flip a couple more times if we need to, just to get that perfect medium rare. Alright, these steaks are finished. If you notice, they're like perfectly seared. The Bear Lake beef is almost falling apart because it's so ready to go. We're going to go ahead and take these off the grill and get them plated up and cut open so you can see what they look like on the inside. We got the meat here on the block. We've let it rest for a few minutes. You always want to let any meat you cook on a grill rest. And what that does is it allows the juices to redistribute into the meat. Now, if we got the Bear Lake beef ribeye here and the steak ribeye here, and we're just going to cut this open so you can see it. This is the Bear Lake beef meat. Let's cut that open. Look at that. Perfect medium rare. Just a little bit of pink on the inside, maybe more a medium, but you just see this meat. I mean, the knife just goes right through it. It is a beautiful cut of meat. You can see how that juice, that meat, the fat rendered in there, and you can just see all that juice that's in there. Look at that. That's all that intermuscular fat that's rendered. That's created that juice. Now you got the store-bought steak. We're going to cut it open. and you got a little bit tougher meat here. It's not as soft or as tender as that Bear Lake beef. Not as much intermuscular fat. This one here, almost fork tender. You can peel it apart practically. So that's kind of the difference between a Bear Lake beef ribeye and a store-bought ribeye. Again, if you want to impress your friends, if you want to have the best meat that money can buy, that's going to be your Bear Lake beef. So again, until next time, every meal starts with a good Bear Lake beef steak.